my name is Daniel Smith and I'm from ESP Photography Club, and I would like to show you today how to take an image that's been shot in the studio, so very boring background, to something that might be relevant to the actual scene that you were thinking of in the first place. So from this image to this image. It's not that complicated. I'm going to take a few images. There's this one, this one, this one, and this one, and I'm going to put them all together and create this one. So if you need images to edit, then please go to espclub.tk and you will find an online learning page where you can actually download these images so you can follow on the tutorial yourself. So first of all, we're going to go to this one and we're going to go to the quick selection tool, which is located over here. It's the top one you need, and we're going to select all of the scene that we actually want to keep. So quite simply go round. This one's actually really simple to select. Some of them can be quite annoyingly trying to pick out the background, but this one doesn't seem to. So we've got pretty much all of that there. Let me just zoom in to the top here. And so Alt to deselect, and just get that there a little bit better. And apart from that, I'm not bothered about the ladders, the railing here. I think I've got the majority. Yep, it's done a really good job of that. So I'll just zoom out by Command minus, and then at the bottom here I've got a layer mask. So I'm just going to add a layer mask by pressing on that now, and then it's got rid of all the sky, and that's exactly what I wanted it to do. So we can then move on to the other scene. So on this one you do exactly the same. I've already done it here. You can see that I've hidden my layer mask. So enable layer mask, that's exactly what I've done. That's a little bit more complicated, but you'll just have to go onto the refine tool, which is if you go onto that onto the actual mask itself and right click refine mask, it brings this up. You can adjust these to get round a bit better. You can view it in different options. On this particular one I went on a white, but once you've chosen that, this tool here allows you to go right in. That was Command plus to zoom in. Now it's not going to matter too much, but as you press round and you paint the edge, it's going to try and see what the edge is, and it's going to make its own mind up of what that edge is. I don't want it to do that because I've already done it, so I'm just going to press cancel, but you'll probably need to put OK. So zoom out by Command minus. Let's drag that in. Right, okay, so I'm going to go over to here, press on this tool here, and I'm going to drag that over to my other image. So just by dragging it over, opening the other image, and then I'm just going to place my clown in its scene. Right, it's obviously very, very different scale, and that's not really very good for us. We need it to look like it's actually in the scene. So I'm going to press Shift and then drag the corner up. That keeps the actual image in its correct form, so we're not distorting it, we're not changing the shape of the actual image, we're just resizing it. He's not too far off, but I'll go a little bit smaller, and I'm going to put him, I think about there. Let go the Shift and then press the the tick button at the top here, and then that's going to put him exactly where we want him. Right, so we need to find our clouds, and I'm just going to press on that and drag that over as well, put it in the picture, and then over it it's selected it at the top. Now we don't want it at the top, we actually want it at the bottom, so drag and drop that to the bottom. That's not done too bad of a job actually, but if we're not happy where it is, let's just drag it around so we've got some more detail. We'll do it there, that's quite nice. Okay, so now we want it to look a little bit darker, so I'm going to go to the top here, and I'm going to go down to the adjustment layers, and I'm going to go down to the exposure, and I'm just going to, I don't really want to change the exposure of the cloud, so I'm going to put it there in between, so the cloud's on the top, and then I'm just going to click on the exposure and drag that down to a point where I think, you know what, it's starting to look like it's night time, because that's what we want it to look like, and it's starting to look like night time in my opinion. So I'm going to stop there. Now if it was night time, it would look a little bit different. I think the lights would be on, so I'm going to add another layer above this layer here for the time being, and I'm going to be on that layer, and I'm going to go over to the rectangular tool, and above one of the lights, well, on one of the lights, I'm just going to draw rectangles to where I think a light beam would be hitting, and in that I'm going to I've just deselected it, and in that box there I'm going to press on the right click, and we'll find a fill, and it will come up with a fill. I've got white, I've got linear light, and at the minute it's 5. Well, I actually want it more like 35, so that's what I'll do. And now I'm going to go over this, and each time I'm going to go a little bit wider each time and do the same process, so fill each time, but this time I'm going to go a little bit less each time. So that was 35, I'm going to go 25, and then I'm going to do it again. I'm not bothered about it looking realistic at this point. Again, repeat, fill, and it's 25, so I'm going to go 15 this time, and I'm going to do one more. Yeah, I know it doesn't look realistic, but it will do. And then this time I'm going to go 5, so that's right down. Okay, so as you can see, that doesn't look real at all. However, when we add a blur to this, it's going to start to look more like a light beam. So we're going to go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur, and we're just going to adjust this layer, this bar here, to a point where we think, you know what, it's starting to merge, and I would say that's at the point there. So for me it's 21.9, and I think that's looking realistic, so I'm going to press OK. Right, it's not directional, so we need to change that, and the way we're going to change that is we're going to go to edit, transform, and then distort, and now we can adjust this light to how we believe it would come out of the lamp that's up here, and you know, that's fairly close. I was thinking it'd be a little bit higher up there, but I think that's fairly close. So I'm going to press OK. Let me just deselect the shape. Right, I think that's okay. So we're going to need a few more of those, because there's another one down there, there's another one there, and there's another one there, but the main one is going to be up here because of the light on his head. if there wasn't a light here, it wouldn't make sense. And to connect him onto the floor more, it doesn't look too bad because there is a bit of a shadow, but we're going to have to put a shadow here. So by putting a light up in this direction here, it's going to cast a shadow and he's going to look connected. So what we're going to do is we're going to just Command, we're on the top layer at the moment, which is this light. I'm going to press Command J, and we're going to do that a few times. Now we've got loads of copies, so we'll select one of them. We'll go over here so we can move. That's the wrong way around. Well, that's okay, because all we need to do is drag it across like that, and we can adjust this to whatever we want it to look like. And if we go into transform and distort, then we can adjust this so it looks like it's really coming out of that light. Just make it a bit smaller. I've gone too small there. I think that's something like it would be. I'm going to drag that all the way down because it's quite close to it. And I'm okay with that, so I'm going to press tick. And then I'm going to go on the next one. Excuse me. And I'm going to do the same for each light source. That one's actually going to be behind, so we'll shift that in a second. Let's go on to distort again, just to make sure that we're... So Command plus, and we can zoom in. And the way that is, that line there is no good, so what we need to do is just, because we're on the distort, we can actually line that up. So it's fairly close to what the light would... There you go, that's about right, so press tick on that one. Command minus to zoom back out. We've got another one here, so we'll go on that one. I'm not going to bother with the ones in the background, I don't think, so I'll delete that one and then just move this one. So Command minus to just zoom back out, and let's make that one look like it's really filling. Right, that's how I want it, I think. So I'll press the tick button, and then they're all sort of pretty much where I need them to be. Now the clown is, you know, we've got lines here which we don't want, so he's obviously in the wrong place. So I'm just going to start putting him above to where I think he should be. Right, so yeah. So now you can see that he's actually, you know, he's not in that shot anymore. So we're getting there. I think what we need now is the atmosphere, and we also need to tone all these lights down. So what I'll do is I'll add the atmosphere for a start, which I'm going to use this image. So I'm going to I'm on the move tool, so what I'll do is I'll just place that in my image by dragging it and dropping it. I'm just going to move it around until my whole scene is filled with this dust layer, and then I'm going to drop the opacity and to the point where I think it's given enough but not too much, and I think it's about 15%. So I'm going to keep it at that for the time being. I think we're probably better to have it and down there. The layers that we're going to now mess about with, I'm going to drop, the top one here, which is layer 4, that is actually this light source here, and I'm going to drop that down to 70%. And then this one here, as I go further back, I'm going to drop it down differently, so I'm going to go 65 on that one, and then on this one here, that's a little bit further back, so I'm going to drop that down by That was 65, so I'll go 50. And then the one at the very back, which is that one, I'm going to go 45. And then you can see that they're all a little bit different. I'm happy with that. So now what we need to do is these would actually have a little bit brighter light at the top. So I'm going to add another layer at the bottom here. Just click on this icon here, and I've opened another layer. Now I'm going to flip to white, and then I'm going to go to my paintbrush. I'll zoom in a bit because we want this to be fairly accurate, and we're just going to lower the my size of my brush by the brackets, so I'll get it quite small. I'll just do that, and then I don't want to be too much on the actual. I need that to be a lot higher. Let me go to the flow. We want it to be very white, and we could just sort of make it a little bit of a dome like that, and then we can go to all of them and do the same, being very careful not to go over the actual structure of the lamp, because then it won't look realistic. And then we're going to go over to this one, and we'll fill in this one. You can see a lot more of, so we'll fill in that, and again I'm just going to dome it because the light would actually be quite strong. Right, Command minus to zoom back out. They're pretty much what I'd want, but they don't look realistic again, so we'll go to filter, blur, and then we'll go to Gaussian blur, and straight away 21.9, that's made it look fairly realistic, so I'm going to OK that one. I'm happy with that, but now there's one more thing that I feel that I need to do. His head is a little bit too bright, and also there's no shadow, so we need to create that shadow. So I'm just going to select his layer that he's on, and then I'm just going to put another layer above, and then I'm going to switch to black. I'm going to fill that with black, and then I'm going to add a mask, and I'm going to fill that with black as well. Where is he? And then all we need to do is be on that layer. What I didn't tell you, but how I filled that was just Alt and Delete, and it will select this one here. If I press Command and Delete, it would have selected the white. So now I'm on the layer mask, and I'm going to select my tool, and I'm just get my size of my brush up a little bit so I can see it. I'll zoom in so by pressing Command plus, and I'm just going to start painting in the shadow. Let me just lower my flow down a little bit. We'll go around about 20. So around about 22, and I'm just going to start painting in what I believe the shadow would look like with the light source coming from above. It doesn't have to be too neat, but what I would say is it does need to connect the objects to the floor, and shadows are the one thing that really does make an impact on when you're adding something to another image. The shadows are the things that make it look realistic, so to make sure that that is connected really helps. Right, so let's just zoom out again. So Command minus, just to zoom out and think about where that light source is coming from. Okay. And then just paint in. So you can take your time at this. I'm not going to. I'm just going to do it very quickly so I can show you. And then I think there would be a bit of a okay. So it doesn't look very good at the moment, but as soon as we go to filter and then blur and then Gaussian blur, and then we can adjust this to make it look more realistic. And if we need to make more than one layer, that's fine. Okay, so that's getting there, and I'm going to OK that, and I'm then going to do another one just on the top. So same process again. And then I'm going to be on that one again, and then I'm just going to go in a little bit closer and just make a very more obvious edge around him. Just lowering my tool a little bit by using bracket keys. Getting quite tight in around his shoes. To move around the page, if you don't know, it's just the space bar, and it changes your hand, your pointer or your brush into a hand, and then you can move around quite easily. And the shoes would be a bit of a shadow like that. And I'm just going to zoom out again. Okay, and then I'm going to add a Gaussian blur onto that as well, and I'm actually okay with that. That to me looks fairly realistic. Let's check what it looks like behind him, which does really help. And we can just paint around there a little bit more. Okay, so zoom out and see what he looks like. Okay, I'm sort of happy with that. I think it's in the lines of where we need to be. I'm just going to do one more layer mask, and I'm going to definitely do that one above, because I'm actually going to be painting directly onto his head, just to tone down his head a little bit. So instead of the dodge and burn tool, I'm just going to blacken it out and then add a layer mask and blacken that out as well. Zoom into his head, so Control plus, and let's go quite tight, and then I'm just going to lower this right down to 1, so the flow is at 1, and I'm just going to brush in a little bit around his head to get rid of some of the glare that's coming from his head, really. I don't think it would be that bright from the light above, so if we can tone it down by doing this, I think that would be a good, hopefully we'll get a good result. Again, it's I'm not too bothered about it being too harsh on the brush strokes, because I am going to blur them all. This is just to tone it down. I can try and make his wrinkles look a little bit stronger as well. I think that would benefit. So I'm just going to make my tool a little bit smaller by using the bracket keys. I'm going to zoom in a little bit by pressing Control plus. It's pixelated a little bit, but that's okay. I'll just go around these a little bit, and then Control minus to zoom back out. Right, whilst I'm still on this and quite zoomed in, I'm just going to go to Filter and then Blur, Gaussian Blur again, and I'll just change it to the point where I think I've toned it down enough, but I've lost the strokes, which I have done at that point. So I'm going to press OK on that. I'm going to zoom out, and I just want to go to the top layer now, and I want to put a filter, a photo filter over the top. Just try and blend them all together. Let's just try a few out. These are quite dramatic, or can be. We can change the picture completely. And in this case, I want it to look moody. So orange is too much. Yellow is going to be no. I'm okay with that one. So you mess about with them as well. You can also adjust the amount that's coming through. I'm okay with it being around about 20. So okay, that to me is very, very close to where I want to be. You can continue playing with it until you're really happy. You can really tone it down and mess about, move the layers around until they work for you. I hope you've enjoyed my tutorial. Please subscribe, and for further information please go to ESP Photography Facebook page, or you can go to edgestudios.co.uk and become an online member, or just have a look at our website. We'd appreciate any comments. Thank you very much.